Hi everybody, Steve Griffiths here, developer of the MTPredictor software program. In the last video I looked at what I've nicknamed the MTPredictor Holy Grail trade setup because it was a good way of catching the end of a wave 2 to trade the whole of the wave 3. In other words, a wave 3 is the strongest and longest wave in a completed 5-wave sequence, therefore it's the best move to take. In other words, it has the highest profit potential for the lowest initial risk. That's why I nicknamed it the Holy Grail. So in this video I'd like to show that not only do we have good trades like the last one I demonstrated on the ES, which had a lovely plus 12-hour profit, it's only fair that software vendors show losing trades to show the other side of the coin, because it's important to understand that any trading approach will have losses, so it's important that we actually do show them. So for this I want to go back to the 31st of July, Friday the 31st on the ES. In particular, I want to have a look at this particular trade setup here on MTPredictor. You can see it's highlighted with a history triangle there at 10:27 on the 31st. So let's do what we did in the previous video, where we go to the higher time frame chart. In this case it's the 15-minute chart, and we place the DPs on the chart from previous pivots. So before the 31st, which was here even unfolded, we go back to the prior pivot, we right mouse click, place the decision point on, and again remember that these are leading indicators. In other words, they're on the chart in advance before the market even gets there to provide areas of future support and resistance. And we're actually looking at this in our live webinar on Friday at the time. So as you can see, that caught the high of the day very nicely. Let's now go down to the 3-minute chart and have a look at how that would have set the trade up. As you can see, there's our resistance coming in quite nicely, and the market on the 3-minute chart making the pivot at higher time frame 15-minute resistance. So in our isolation approach to Elliott wave, that would be defined as the start of the sequence because it came in at higher time frame resistance, therefore an important high. Off that, the initial decline would be classed as a wave 1. We're then looking for a wave 2 correction that will subdivide into a potential ABC. If I do bar replay and I jump to this bar here, you can see that we actually had a potential TS1 trade setup highlighted. If we place the analysis on here, you can see that's our ABC correction, and because this was a potential wave 2, we'd be looking for the move into the typical wave 3 WPT, which is down here. In other words, we'll be looking for a potential 5.4R profit. And of course that was all in relation to the initial risk being kept small and under control here on a sample $20,000 risking 2%. We'll be trading 3 contracts. This will be classified as 1R. If we then move forward, we can see we'd have been taken into a short trade very quickly after that. There we'd have then been stopped out. Now it's important to understand that this would have been a losing trade. Losses can do and will happen with any trading approach, but the loss would have been kept small. In other words, it would have been kept as minus 1R or 1 risk unit. Now it's perfectly acceptable to have losing trades as long as when the profits come through they are much larger. And this is why I wanted to do this video today, to show you that no matter what approach you do, you will always have losing trades. And I wanted to show this as a potential Holy Grail trade setup that I've been looking at in a number of videos previously, to show some good profitable Holy Grail trade setups. So I thought it was only fair to show this one, which would have been a perfectly valid Holy Grail trade setup, but it would have been a losing trade and a minus 1R loss. I'll just close trading mode there. And as you can see, the market did carry on a bit higher up. There was a potential VSA sell here. You can see as our VSA bar there for the more experienced MTPredictors users among you, that we actually covered in our training webinar at the time, where the market reversed on a high volume VSA spike at our DP resistance before the decline later in the day. But I'm not going to go into that in this particular video because that was done as a part of our advanced training for customers. So I just wanted to show in this video that on July the 31st we did have a potential Holy Grail trade setup unfold that actually ended up in a losing trade. And just to remind you again that it's important to understand that any trading approach will have losses, but the trick to making money over the longer term is when the losses come through, is to keep your losses small, and this is what we do with our correct position sizing. And when the profits come through, the profits are much larger than the losses. And this is why I've nicknamed this trade the Holy Grail. Again, not because it has a high percentage of winning trades, it's because when the winners come through, they're much larger than the losses, and when the losses come through, they're kept small. And I just wanted to show this as a losing trade to give you a good example of that, and just basically to make you understand that there always will be losing trades with any trading approach. The trick is to keep the losses small, and that's exactly what we do in the MTPredictor software program.